The flag, our universal flag. This is it. This is our universal flag. This is the one and only. All the rest, listen, Shamgar made a lot of flags. Universal Shamgar made a lot of flags. And he brought the flag, he brought a few flags to his father, laid them out. Allah looked at it and chose this one as our flag. He said, this is going to be our flag. This is going to be our flag right here. Not the 16 point, none of them other ones. This one. Even though from the mind of Shamgar, a lot of great paintings, a lot of great flags, he made a lot of flags. This is the only one that was chosen by Allah. This is our flag. Everything else is products of the mind of the universal Shamgar, which we like, which some of us embrace, but it's not our universal flag. This is our flag. This is the only flag Allah chose. In 1968, now Allah, Amar Show and Prove, created our national anthem, which is called the Enlightenment. In Medina, they got a lot of songs, but we only have one national anthem, was chosen by Allah, and it's created by Knowledge Allah, Amar Show and Prove. It's important that we know that, because brothers have a tendency to think that the other songs that we sing, especially Medina, because they got a lot of them, at any given time, and they get to break out a song, you know, and they got song after song, and they've got beautiful, beautiful songs, but we only have one national anthem, and that's the one that's chosen by Allah, and that was the Enlightenment, which go peace of Allah. And it's founded on our mathematics. The wisdom that you find in it is timeless. It's all about who we are and what we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do. It starts off each and every day, in each and every way, I'm going to show and prove and teach the righteous way. And that's it. That's who we are. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to be about constantly. That's our foundation. That's our history. That's who we are. That's what Allah did. Each and every day He showed and proved to us and taught us the righteous way. Not just run off the mouth. He lived this. We was able to see it. We see all the things we supposed, and a lot of things He did and taught us. It took us decades, a lot of us decades, and some of us never reached that plateau. You know, He was unique. For instance, when I first got out, one of the things He told us to do, we had to go and make amends to all the people we did wrong to. And that was one of the hardest things, especially a lot of us, because in my time, I remember I got out, I was 64, and most of the people in my neighborhood was gangs, members of gangs. Most of the officers that we taught was former gang members.
Okay.
So I was a lord. So we had to fight buccaneers, bishops, chaplains, diggins, peanut stompers. So there was a whole lot of people I had to make amends to. And it was difficult, man. You know, remember, I was a kid. And I got to go to these people and I got to, you know, make amends to them. I got to tell them I'm sorry. I got to explain to them why, you know, why I'm making amends, why this change is occurring. When I got now, so we had nobody but each other. That's why it was important that we loved each other, because my girlfriend, my mother and father, my brothers and sisters, my best friends, everybody I knew other than the other father sinners turned against us. We only had each other. And for a period of time, a long period of time, all we had was each other. We lived together, we hung out together. You see us, you see one of us, you see the rest of us. Or we wasn't far behind. The unity we had then was magnificent. The love that we built for one another, that's why you see a lot of older brothers when they come together. It's a great love they express, a great the word camaraderie that they express. Yeah, that you see. You know, we go all out, a big smile come on our face, we get to hugging each other, and you know, and they be like, younger brothers be like, where that's coming from? What's that about? It's not a favoritism thing, because there's no favoritism there. There's no big eyes, no little U's. A lot of stars will be all the same. There's some stars in the universe shine brighter than others, but they're all stars. So there's no big eyes and little U's here. He didn't teach us that one was better than the other. You know, he just taught just the opposite, that we all the same. He also taught us this. If you ain't got nothing good to say about your brother, don't say nothing at all. I was a rebellious brother. One, I knew all the lessons, so you couldn't tell me much. And most people would fear me. They used to call us thunder gods. And the reason they call us the thunder gods because our current was hot and cold. Sometimes we was warm, and sometimes we was very, very cold. And because we learned the lessons. And our feeling was this. If I had to learn them, you got to learn them. If I can learn them, you can learn them. I learned mine word of mouth. And then I wrote them down on paper. You know, brothers always say, I had a guy ran to me the other day and said, what's the 39th degree in the 120? I looked at him like he was out of his mind, like he had two heads. Where did you get that from? It's a new thing they got. We call it remixing, you know. And I explained to him, I said, listen, brother, the reality is this. Some brothers got lessons in different orders than y'all have or see today. And because of that, for instance, I got the Nile cell, I got the 140 first. So, remember I got taught by the firstborn, Black Messiah, Prince Allah, who then was Kareem and Al-Jabbar. And they got the 140 first. In fact, I got the 114 before either one of them did, because both of them was in jail when law gave it to us. And so the order lessons wasn't the same. Later on, when the law got to school here and gave the lessons to Barry Goff to take to Mayor Lindsay, and he got them typed up and brought them back to school, and we put them in order. The way he arranged them then is the way most people have them today. And that's the order they have them today, but that's not the order in which we originally got them. He later on explained to us why they are in the order he put them in. For instance, we got the meat before we got the milk. And a lot of us that got that meat first, we choked on it. And when you look at the history of some of the older brothers, you hear a lot of stories about they did this, they did that. Well, look, you got to remember, the guys was from the age of 21 to 13, firstborn, first non-born. Oldest one was Aslam, he was 21. The youngest one was Kahim, he was 13. And you got them all in between that, 17, 16, 19, so on. With 13 years in doing wrong, then you got to spend some time practicing first learning to do right, and then you got to practice doing right before you can become right. That takes time. So people look back on the past and say, well, this guy did that, these brothers did this. Yeah. Allah told us, listen, we're going to go through a lot of ciphers. A lot of ciphers. He said, you go under showing and proving, you'll come out showing and proving. So the ciphers that they went through, they were in the showing and proving, and those that didn't fall victim to it, came out showing and proving. Those that fell victim to it, never came out of it. Brothers talk about the firstborns. Well, I never heard Allah call them the firstborns. I never heard him refer to them in that manner. When I got now, so they never referred to themselves in that manner. And this is what I learned, and this is what they told me, that the first 5 percenters, the very first 5 percenters, remember, I was talking about 2 of them, and there was 4 of them. He said, Al-Salam, Black Messiah, Al-Salam, Kareem, Al-Jabbar, and Naheem. Kareem today changed his name to Black Messiah, Al-Jabbar later changed his name to Prince Allah, and Naheem later changed his name to Bismillah. Was the first 4 brothers that Allah chose. And then he told them 4 brothers, go out and get me 5 more. They went out and got the other 5, which was Yahara, Akbar, ABG, Al-Jamel, and Kaheen. Now, there's been a lot of controversy about the firstborn, or what the brothers call the first 9 born. Allah told them 9 brothers, and said, listen, go out and teach 10 more, each one of y'all. We call ABG the father of Medina. The reason we call him the father of Medina because he came to Medina and taught 14, the first 14 brothers there. He came here to hang out, to meet some brothers that he wanted to hang out with, ran into Gypsy and them, which was Shamgad and Shasha and them, and started teaching them. It was 14 of them together. Actually, it was 15, but King Shamik, later changed into King Allah, he was in jail. And even though he wasn't out there, as soon as they got knowledge, so they wrote him and gave him that information. He started studying and learning too. So we call him, we include him in that equation. Those that was there that day and time. But them brothers there became the head of Medina. Anytime he wanted, Allah would come, had to meet him and chock full of nuts, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would teach them. And then we come home from school, we would go up to the head of Medina, all over Medina, and they would tell us what Allah told them, or what Allah taught them. And then we go back to our prospective neighborhoods and we would teach that. That's how we kept things pretty much universal. I was one of the rebellious brothers. Brothers like myself, Bismillah from Pilon, Rahim or Allah live from the desert, Reality, Yahara, Black Sea Shamgad, and I'm going to name a few more and more, but we was in children's joints. We went to Spofford, which is youth house. And from there we go to the children's jails like Otisville, Warwick, Highland, Hampton, places like that, Children's Village. And for the females, they had Troy and Hudson. And we would teach there. And soon we got there, and they found out about us, the authority, the administration, they would beat us up to take our lessons. If they heard us, they hear us teaching, they would beat us up. So we had to develop a code in order to speak to each other. So that's where this thing comes from. See, lesson was never called the 1 to 10. It was always student role. Each lesson had a name. Even though there was numbers, questions, and answers, right? We never called them by them. We called them by the name of the lesson. But because we was in jail and they knew they had our lessons, they knew the names of the lessons. If they heard us say the names of the lessons, of course, they would beat us up. So we had to protect ourselves. So we developed our own code. And one of the codes we developed was we started calling lessons by numbers. Student room, we started calling it 1 to 10. One of English lesson number C1, we started calling it 1 to 36. Lost Promise lesson number 1, we call it 1 to 14. Lost Promise lesson number 2, we call the 1 to 40. So if I want to speak to you, I want to get some lessons, I would say in the knowledge free cipher or knowledge code cipher, man, I need first knowledge cipher degrees or first 10 degrees. And then you would go right on toilet paper or paper bags, whatever. And you would slip it to me, then I'd slip it to the brother. We go in the bathroom or hide up under, have it on our pillow and lights it out, and we learn it. Then immediately after learning it, we got rid of it. Then we came home, and we went, of course, for instance, say me and Rajim was there together. When me and him come home, and we started conversating, it would slip out. We started, it's habit. We did this for 9 months, a year, so it became force of habit. So now the other brothers in the neighborhood, other guys around us hear me and him talking like that, they want to know, what is that? What is y'all saying? Then we'd break it down to me, explain it, and it became a habit. So now everybody think that's how it's supposed to go. It was never called 120 Lessons. It was called the Book of Life. And the Book of Life didn't consist of just 120 lessons.